Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My guest today is Kris Delgado, and she is a teacher, she's a coach, and she empowers people to find love, to love themselves, and live a more fulfilled life. And today she's here to tell us what bullshit she said goodbye to in order to rise up to love. That's her. I love that. Rise up to love. And talk about how she transformed her life. So, welcome, Kris. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
So, tell us, what bullshit did you say goodbye to?
Wow. That's
Let's
such a
just jump
big
right in there.
that's such a big question. A lot of
Yeah.
bullshit. I think probably the biggest thing for me was leaving like all of my self-limiting beliefs behind.
Mm-hmm.
We all have self-limiting beliefs, and I didn't know that was even a thing until, I realized that it was a thing. But that in itself, and learning that, we as human beings do things for only several reasons, and like out of a survival.
Yeah.
Once I realized that and had, the knowledge or the awareness of that, I could leave so much of that BS
Mm-hmm.
behind, and start actually noticing why I do the things that I do, when I don't want to do certain things, and, all of that stuff. And it really gave me a lot of freedom once I could see that I was in my own way. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yeah, it's perfect sense. Actually, that's one of the things I always say: throw out the I have to, I should, I need to. And once you get rid of that rule book that we've been playing with and see yourself clearly and see, okay, now I get to choose.
Yeah.
Now that I get to choose and I don't have to play by anybody's rule book, what do I really want? The space does open up.
Yeah.
And so, what would you say the challenges for people that are trying to love themselves? Because I get asked this question a lot from clients as well as people that watch the shows and everything. That is it really possible to love yourself fully, or is it really possible to be have a happy life, fulfilled life? I'm like, yes, it is. you know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm living proof. Kris is living proof. And a lot of other people. So, what would you say the challenge that you've seen for yourself or for the people that come to you? What's the biggest challenge to loving
Yeah.
yourself and saying goodbye to this rule book?
I think the biggest challenge is just not even recognizing that there is a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we grow up in a certain atmosphere, or, a certain context or environment. And when we start to play around and start to notice, like, hey, wait a second, I don't really want to do this. Maybe I want to do this, or I don't want to live here. Maybe I want to live there. I want to go to school here. Whatever. Once we start recognizing that there's some stuff outside of our initial bubble, the challenge is that a lot of people in your immediate circle want to keep you in that bubble.
Yes.
So I think one of the biggest challenges is, to have the courage to say, "Hey, this isn't about you. I love you. I'm going to come back to the bubble, but I get to go explore what I want, and I get to go find out who I am as a human being." And me wanting to explore that has really doesn't have anything to do with you, and I don't want you to take it personally because I want to go and maybe explore some other areas. So I think one of the biggest challenges is really breaking free from the environment that you either grew up in or built yourself and didn't realize you were building it.
Yes, I love that. The
Yeah.
courage to get out of your bubble.
Yeah.
And I talk about that with the clients, sort of give them a heads up when they start this process of healing and letting go is that be ready, because I think that's the fear of that. Okay, I'm going to be lonely, out of
Yeah.
the fear of loneliness. You're not going to have people,
Yeah.
you're not going to have things, people there to support you when you need it. So that fear keeps you in that bubble, fear of losing people and being alone.
Yeah.
And it is, I tell them it's a possibility, but it's not really losing people. You sort of, first of all, you're gaining yourself, and you're opening up to, you know new possibilities, new people coming to your
Yeah.
life, new
Absolutely.
relationships. So
Yeah.
I like that courage to come out of your bubble.
Yeah.
um
There's so
and
much, it's so layered, so having the courage to do that, having the willingness to go for something or try something new and, and fail at it and then come back and kind of regroup, and again, I think that, as a human being, we wanna survive,
mhm,
and we want comfort, and
mhm,
we wanna be, like, in control of our environment. So, when people grow up or they wanna go explore certain things, the people that are in their environment, they also wanna be comfortable and they wanna be in control. So you leaving threatens their safety, or is what unconsciously is happening. So to be able to communicate with them and say, like, I want to go take a course, or I want to go explore this place on vacation, or I want to, go do this, doesn't mean that I am leaving you. And a lot of people think, like, oh, you're going to vibrate out of my space, or you're going to grow and then I'm going to be stuck. And so I think, a lot of it has to do with communication too, to just simply be aware of what's happening in your space so that you can communicate with the people around you, again, so that they don't take it personally, but knowing and having the awareness that, hey, I'm going to go over here and do some stuff, but you can join me. I'm not trying to, like, vibrate out of your space. I just want to grow and expand. You're more than welcome to come with me, because people think that that's a threat, like, you're going to do something now and I don't know it, which means I'm uncomfortable.
yeah. um and I also do see sometimes that vibration, when you it might happen naturally that you do separate. So
Yeah.
communication is key, and showing them the way that they have that right as well, that they can
Yeah.
do it. They have that power within themselves. And again, you're right, when you start communicating that way too, and if they start to shift and rise as well, their
Yeah.
vibration, then
Yeah,
you'll
absolutely.
flow and move together.
Yeah.
So tell us more about Rise Up to Love. I like that. I like to hear more. Rise Up to Love. What is it about? Where did you come up with that
Oh
wonderful
boy.
slogan? I love it. Rise Up to Love.
Well, funny story. So I was working, so I'm a transformational trainer and a coach,
Mm-hmm.
now. And before that was my career, I was doing graphic design, and I was going to school and to become a coach and to become a trainer. And the place I was working at fired me. And I
Perfect.
went from one day, I went, oh my gosh, I don't have stability, or I don't have a paycheck. And oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not ready to move into the next field yet. I felt like I was in, like, a little in between stage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got fired. And literally the very next day I woke up and was like, okay, I need to be proactive, and I'm going to be at cause for my life and not at effect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to a little park by my house, and I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And I just started journaling. I was with a friend of mine, and we were just talking, and I'm like, okay, if I can manifest anything, what do I want to do? And I wanted to manifest this coaching business and, become a transformational trainer and travel and facilitate trainings. And again, with the vibrational stuff, like, I was learning really about how to step into and live a high vibrational lifestyle and the frequency of where I wanted to be. And I literally was like, you know, I really just want to rise above all of this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I want to do? Because I don't want to also bring into the universe what I don't want and talk
Mm-hmm.
about what I don't want. Let's talk about what I actually do want. And so the whole like I want to like rise above all of that. Like, I want to rise up to the frequency of love, you know, and that's really my mission in life, or my purpose, is to create love and kindness everywhere I go. So the rise up to love, as soon as, you know, I said it, you know, me and my friend looked at each other and we were like, oh, that's it.
That's
And
it.
so I created the company, and the rest, you know, the rest is history. I started getting coaching clients, I became a trainer, and, you know, work for a couple different training companies and have coaching clients and have, you know, a bunch of programs and stuff now, all because, you know, that was one of those things where I was like, that me getting fired was literally
Yes.
the universe going, like, kicking me out of the nest and going, you're
Yes.
ready. You know, so
Yes.
it really was like, what do I want to do? Do I want to sit and wallow and, like I said, be like a victim to life or be at effect, or do I want to be the cause and essentially write my own story? And that looked like rising up to the frequency of love.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it because universe, I always say, universe is always communicating with us, is always giving us gifts. It's just shifting your perspective to see it
Absolutely. Yeah.
that this is a gift. And we get caught up in the sort of the reality of life that, you know, like you, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, I got fired. But instead of
Yeah.
letting that reality be your reality, it's like, okay, no, this is happening for a purpose. Now, what do I want? And let me
Yeah.
go after it. I
Yeah.
have this image of you, like you're just sleeping there and just suddenly it's like rising up.
It's
And
so
it just
true, and
like came in all of
it
a
yeah, and
sudden.
it's so grounding. I mean, I literally, you know, say the phrase, you know, I ground myself in that literally every single day. And, you know, funny enough, the place that fired me, I went back to and, you know, started working in a completely different manner for, you know, for the same company, because I was like, you know, I like they did me the biggest favor, but the day
Hmm.
they did it, I couldn't see it.
Yes.
So so yeah, that's what it is. And I really, you know, just having that then and expanding it. So rising up to the frequency of transformation, really being able to understand that like attracts like, and what you want to bring into the world and what you want to manifest, you really get to be the context or vibrate at that frequency in order to call it in, you know. So
Um, what do you say to people that sometimes because I know I get this question. So, like, when you get to this place, is everything that means everything is happy, everything is happening, everything is good? Like, yes, it is good. My response is yes, it is good, but it's not that everything you see is like, and I don't have a good or bad. Everything
yeah.
is coming to me for a purpose. So, what do you say to people when they ask you similar questions that, you know, well, have you reached that point that everything's good in your life or everything, you know,
Yeah.
is happy in your life? What do you say to that?
Well, I tell them that I'm human,
Mm-hmm.
remind them that I'm a human being and stuff happens. But
Yes.
again, it's really about the mindset shift. So, you know, do I have bad moments? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Does, you know, like quote unquote shitty things happen? Yeah, absolutely. I don't turn a blind eye to what's happening. I mean, we're still in a pandemic. We're still, you know, like dealing with everything as a nation or as a community with you know, the real life stuff that's happening. So I don't pretend that that stuff's not happening, and I can distinguish myself and have sad moments, have angry moments, have moments of frustration and disappointment. I have all of those moments, but that doesn't define who I am. You know, so
Yes.
I love my life. And within loving my life, of course I can be sad. That doesn't make me a sad person.
Yes.
So I do believe that when you practice that type of, mindset work, you shift into it, and it, it may take some practice, and there's a distinction. I mean, I don't pretend going around in the world with, like, rose colored glasses and go, oh nope, I don't like, that's bad, so I'm going to pretend that doesn't exist. Like, actually, I want to dive into that, because if my purpose in life is to, bring love and kindness to the world, that's super easy to do when I'm meditating on the beach in Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
So, but my work comes when I'm not on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. It comes in every single day. It's, smiling to homeless people. It's, being nice to the lady at the grocery store. It's, pumping gas and, smiling, and just, it's about the beingness for me. So I tell
Beingness,
people that,
yes. It's
if,
That's the key. That's the
yeah,
key. I think people get confused where loving your life is a state of being.
absolutely.
Love is actually a state of being. It's not an action, it's not a doing, it's a state. And within that, then yes, things are coming and going, and there are these moments, but the state of where you're at and the view that you have, perspective is different. So the
Yeah.
moments doesn't define the whole day or the whole
Right.
week or the whole year.
Yeah. And it adds character, because
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you said. It doesn't define who you are. And, we've all heard the little mottos and the little bumper stickers and stuff, that it's not about what happens, it's about how you react to what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all really great. Then they become opportunities to really solidify who you want to be as a human being. How you treat this person, or how you, if you're taking actions that are congruent with what you say you want on the planet, then that becomes, like you said, a whole state of being. So it then they become opportunities. So in the moment that I'm frustrated, or the moment I hear, sad news, and I'm sad, I don't judge myself. It's just, I
Mm-hmm.
know that this is what's supposed to happen, because we are human beings. Things are going to happen. We're not in control of anything.
No, no. And I think the more you let go of the control and allow those things and accept them in, also gives you the opportunity to be able to um, sort of have a different experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you are accepting of it, okay, this is what's happening in the present moment, and I'm aware of how right now what's coming up, what I'm getting triggered, or how I'm feeling with this, and I still have a choice in how I
Yeah.
want to experience this moment, even
Absolutely.
within the sadness, because there's a cycles to everything as well. I think the other part that I've seen a lot of people, they want to control their emotions, or they don't want to be labeled as emotional. And emotions are part of this human existence on
Yeah.
this planet. And so, as long as you see it, you're aware of it, accept it, and also know, even within that sadness, even within that anger, as you accept it, there's also an experience and how you
Yeah.
choose to experience and cycle
Yeah.
again.
And and emotions are, I mean, they're natural.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to ever get away from them. So then it becomes a question of, how can you be in charge of them,
Mm-hmm.
or have emotional fortitude and be okay with it. Like, it's okay as long as you're responsible. Like, it's okay to be angry. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to be sad. And so that's something also that I love when clients, or I love when my students really get that piece, because again, a lot of us grow up where it's like, it's not okay
Yeah.
for boys to cry, because that means something different than if a
Mm-hmm.
little girl cries, which is insane on some level. But we that's how we grow
Yeah.
up. Or
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's not okay to be upset at this, or you can be upset with it, but only for this amount of time. And all of that stuff is, once you can kind of zoom out and see, like, who made up these rules? And do those rules apply? Why am I putting these societal
Mhm.
rules or these societal beliefs on me right now? Like, I don't have to
Exactly.
go with the flow when it comes to that, or the whatever the status quo or whatever that is. I can kind of separate myself and look at it from all angles and trust that, like, I get to do what's good for me, and as long as it's responsible, obviously. I mean, I'm not going to go and go be angry in the middle of Starbucks. That would be weird, but I can, there's nothing wrong with being angry, just like there's nothing wrong with being happy. They're
Yeah.
the same,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And I think once you again shift yourself, shift your frequency to rise up to love, to be in that state of being in love, then when you are responsible, you
Yeah.
behave responsibly with your emotions, and you um, it's different. It's a different feel to it than
Yeah.
when you're unconsciously going into an emotion rather than
Yeah.
consciously the emotions happening. Now let me experience it, see it, and feel it.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
like that. One
And if you
other,
forget, don't beat yourself up either, because
yeah,
again, we're human. So maybe I do lose my temper and I realize afterwards, oh, that wasn't cool. Don't beat yourself up. Learn from it, but don't sit there and then, like, have the beat up stick and go, oh man, I really blew that. Maybe you
yeah,
did blow it, but you're not going to get the moment back. So the only thing you can do is learn from that moment so you don't do it again if it doesn't match up with what you say you want to do or be in the world.
yeah, yeah. I tell my son, I have a statement I make to him. It's not failing, it's falling.
Yeah.
Switch it, because whenever he thinks he was thinking about failing, it would be so, it felt so permanent to him, like, and it felt so bad. And I
Mm.
said, shift that word, change it to falling, because then when you think about falling, oh, I fell, I can get up, I have choice.
Yeah.
It's a shift in perspective. When you're on the ground looking up, like, oh, look at that, I see this now, I couldn't see it from up there from the other angle.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you decide to go beat yourself up because you think you failed, you didn't fail, you just fell,
Yeah.
and now you have a different perspective and different view, and you can do things a little bit different. Get up and go at it again.
Absolutely. I love that. I love it.
So tell me about your podcast. I like the people to know she has her own podcast. She has just started it, everybody. So if you want to, how can they find out more about your podcast?
Awesome. Thank you for asking me. I'm super pumped about the podcast. So it's been months in the making, and it launched last week on the 2nd. So 2/2/22 seemed like a great
Woohoo!
day.
Yes.
The podcast is called Embodying Greatness, and it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's on Google Podcasts, so you can go to any of those hosts and type in Embodying Greatness. I think you can even just type in Kris Delgado, look for my face, and you can find it. So if you find it, please subscribe, listen, write a review, do all of that good stuff. I really, again, wanted to bring something out because in the spirit of bringing things and rising up to the frequency of transformation or rising up to the frequency of love, we get to saturate these platforms. It's so easy to look at different news channels or different sources
Mm-hmm.
and see all of the stuff that just, you know, is not good for my mental health, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be able to not just avoid the things that aren't good for, my mental health, but I want to contribute to the state of what is good for people's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really the purpose of it. I want people to be able to listen. And another huge reason I brought the podcast out is because I love competition. I am a huge competitor when it comes to sports and to all of those things. I can make a competition out of everything. And the podcast, though, I wanted to be able to bring out and have people like you, have other thought leaders, and really co-create something and
Hmm.
show people that when it comes to the work of transformation, or when it comes to, personal development or self-development, that you don't have to be in competition. There's enough to go around. So
Yes.
instead of competing with people like you, like joining forces and like have your community and my community become a bigger community
Yes.
together. So that was really one of the things I wanted to do with the podcast. I just I love the idea of just really creating, that tipping point, we say in transformation, that, I want that ripple effect. I want people to go out and go, "Hey, this is awesome." And then have a conversation and go, "Have you heard of Kris Delgado?" "Yeah." "But did you hear that last week she had a Tucson, and oh my gosh, I didn't know her before. So now I'm going to go check her out, or I'm going to check this person out." So
I
just
love
bringing it,
that.
just
Building
bringing
a
it.
community.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think that's the only way. We started out earlier our conversation with the rule book and what society's put on us, and that society didn't take overnight. It's been generation after generation,
Yeah.
and I think this is an important time in our history, in our existence, to really start to shift. And the more people that we get to shift and change their frequency and change their view and live a better life, live a more fulfilled life, I think, one person shifting shifts 10 other people, and that's the way we're going to go. That's the only way we're going to change the society. So
I
please
agree.
come and join us.
Yes, I agree. I personal development, self-development, all of these things, transformation, all of these modalities, there are 7.5 billion people on the planet. So, everyone really, all of the thought leaders, all of the coaches, all of the trainers, all of these people that, how I say something and how I land something is, going to be different. And people who are meant to hear my voice, or,
Hmm.
take my medicine, as I like to say, will be drawn to me. And
Hmm.
that doesn't have anything to do with taking away people that are drawn to you,
No,
or
no.
drawn to this person or drawn to that person. Like, we all have, there's enough, so to really create that true, like, abundant context, I think that this is something that I would love to see more people step into. I think that that's really how we're going to, like you said, shift into an abundant context as, you know, as a planet.
As a
Stop,
planet.
like, just worrying about me and I'm going to get mine. Like, I'm going to get mine because there's 7.5 billion people on the planet.
There's
So
enough to
people
go
who want
around.
me to coach them will reach out to me. And
Yeah.
the people who are like, I'm not vibing with her, will go vibe with someone else. So,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. I love it. Thank you so much, Kris. Everybody, I put her link to her website, the
Yes.
podcast, her face. She has a Facebook group too. Please check that out. Join her, and she's on
Yes.
Instagram. So
Yep.
thank you again, Kris. Everybody, rise up to love. Thank you. Have
Thank
a
you so
wonderful
much.
day.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.